This is Punk Rock and Politics, and today is February 14th, 2017, and this is episode number 8. Let's do this.
These days are strange, it's true.
I would bomb the shit out of them.
If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong.
Welcome to Punk Rock and Politics. Today we'll be talking to Skylar Funk from the band Trapdoor Social. We'll talk about solar power, the oil industry, and the time he spent at Standing Rock. So let's get to the political mosh pit. But first, here's the news of the week.
Here's what's making news.
And guess what? I love you. I love you. I love you.
Today is Valentine's Day, and if spending stays on track, we could spend over $20 billion this holiday on our romantic partners. According to the National Retail Federation, Americans will spend $19.7 billion on Valentine's Day, and 54.8% of Americans will celebrate the holiday this year with candy, greeting cards, and an evening out is at the top of the list. So if you're not celebrating Valentine's Day this year and you feel like you're in the minority, well, statistically, you are. But hey, at least you didn't spend any money, right? Trump's executive order over the so-called Muslim ban is still not being enforced. A 3-judge panel from the 9th Circuit Court Thursday unanimously ruled to not allow enforcement of the executive order. And President Trump responded in typical reality TV fashion by simply tweeting, "We'll see you in court." Oh, and that's all capital letters. In Cannonball, North Dakota, veterans have gathered to form a human shield. "We are prepared to put our bodies between Native elders and a privatized military force," Air Force veteran Elizabeth Williams told The Guardian. She continued to say, "We've stood in the face of fire before. We feel a responsibility to use the skills we have." The protesters at Standing Rock continue as the drilling will begin, despite the order by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. In other energy news, China's National Energy Administration announced that it will spend $360 billion on green energy until 2020, a move welcomed by environmentalists worldwide. On Saturday, North Korea launched a ballistic missile test. The missile flew east towards the Sea of Japan for about 500 kilometers. The test was widely condemned by the international community, being that the test was a clear violation of the United Nations resolution on North Korea's ability to conduct ballistic missile tests. On this day in rock history, February 14th, 1981, Billy Idol left the band Generation X for his solo career. And that's the news of the week! Here on Punk Rock and Politics, we don't discriminate with music style. In fact, we want to bring you the most diverse types of music and talk with the creators about politics and social issues. That's why when I stumbled across Trapdoor Social, I knew they had to be featured on the show. Trapdoor Social is a pop, blues, rock 5-piece band. Although they may be super talented and have great hooks and melodies, that's not the main reason why we had to have them on the podcast. Trapdoor Social writes music as an environmental and social critique. Their music is a catchy but passionate call to action. I was lucky to catch Skylar, one of the vocalists for the band, via Skype, who was playing a show in Tennessee. Although I have to personally apologize for the audio quality of the interview, here on Punk Rock and Politics, we try to bring the best quality content with the lowest budget possible, and sometimes that backfires. So please don't let the somewhat low quality of the interview take away from the substance and passion Skylar and his band Trapdoor Social convey. Thank you for understanding, and more importantly, thank you for listening. But before we get to the interview, we're going to hear Winning as Truth by Trapdoor Social.
When the demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are offering. When the demon gets to my head, I say waiting is true. And when they're captured by the wolves. They kill but they don't get filled and swallow up the world. This patience is dangerous, the unborn cannot vote. Sounds bad but you don't get mad, and you will know. When a demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are up for it. When a demon gets to my head, I say wait, it is true. When a demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are up for it. When a demon gets to my head, I say wait, it is true. I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we would. Inspection by Exxon found seas were gonna rise. They knew and they still went through with dollar signs for eyes. This silence is violent, the elephants in the sky. Same rain but the stakes have changed, and you'll find when a demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are up for it. When a demon gets to our head, I say wait, it is true. When a demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are up for it. When a demon gets to our head, I say wait, it is true. When a demon gets to our heads, we only see what our brothers and our sisters are up for it. When a demon gets to our head, I say wait, it is true. I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we would, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we, I can't believe that we would.
That was Winning is Truth by Trapdoor Social. We have Skylar Funk, the vocalist and guitarist from the band. What's up, Skylar? Thanks for coming on Punk Rock and Politics.
Thank you so much for having me, and from all the way out here. It's good. It's good to hear from home.
Yeah, of course. So you guys are out on the road right now? Where are you?
We are between Nashville and Chattanooga, Tennessee. We are on a 2-month stretch of tour away from LA, and we are preparing for an early rise tomorrow to get to Chattanooga and to set up a solar-powered show inside a church, actually, which is going to be exciting and interesting, and we'll go.
Nice. So the band started out as a duo, and now it's a 5-piece group. Is that correct?
That's right. Well, Merritt and I met in college doing environmental studies out east of Pomona, of LA at Pomona College. We definitely, bonded over, sustainable design and trying to protect our future and, the sense that the world needed saving. And then about a year outside of college, we started the band. And we have kind of grown and changed shape with different, members coming and going, and finally have what feels like a pretty stable and solid lineup. We got these dudes off Craigslist, but you know what? They're awesome. And just goes to show you.
You're co-founder of Sunstock, the solar
right.
festival. It's in Los Angeles, and it's 100% solar powered. So how do you power like the amps?
So we have this solar power station that is on our trailer. Our tour trailer has panels on top, batteries inside, and a 3.5 kilowatt inverter. And we do our shows, solar powered shows out on the road. When we set up our 5-piece band, 6 kilowatt PA with subs, 16 LED light show, we're actually only using about a kilowatt when we're rocking out at full blast. Just goes to show you that like LEDs don't really draw that much current, and a little bit of sound for like anywhere up to 500 people doesn't really draw that much current either, compared to say like, powering heating elements or, moving a car or something. Those things really draw a lot more, need a lot more electricity. So for our intents and purposes, like this 3.5 kilowatt inverter puts out like more than enough power, and we have leftover electricity for extra, cool lights, art, projections, all this stuff we can do, let people come and charge their cell phones and all this. At some, we like to set up the phone charging station and everything. At Sunstock, we had our trailer and 6 other power stations like it from partner organizations and other people I was able to find and bring in to power the whole festival grounds. We had over 2,500 people and, a nice big stage, some great local bands, Waves that played and Colts played and the Big Pink. And it was a blast, but we used all these different power stations to run power across the whole festival ground.
So everything at the festival was fully solar powered. Huh.
Yep.
I wonder how that changed people's perception of how solar power works.
That was really our goal. I mean, it's, I think first of all, just the opportunity there to have a positive experience, at a festival, have people enjoying the music and, a beer and their friends. And then at some point in the night, looking around at all the lights and the art and all this and all this stuff and just being like, wow, this is solar powered. Like, that's awesome. This technology is here and it's ready. Like, let's celebrate it. Let's run with it. Yeah. I think too, the environmental movement, can always use positive spaces. Like we'll get together in the streets when, something needs protesting and people get pissed off and,
yeah.
And there's a lot of negative rhetoric in the environmental movement. Shut this down, say no to this. Like, I think we need positive spaces too.
Yes, yeah.
And so just together like a real, fun in the sun day and like a rock out night and, all this stuff that we can do by charging batteries with solar panels and then, feeding out that power for a good time. Like that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, especially with the LED lights now, like you said, they're so low powered, and then the capacity of the lithium ion batteries and then the solar panels themselves, like this wouldn't be possible, 15 years ago maybe? I mean,
well,
it would be a lot more difficult
right
now.
No.
Per se,
we're
right?
making leaps and bounds. There's some super promising stuff happening. What new technology is coming out and how much more efficient, these things are getting, and just the promise of where that's going is super exciting. A female artist was touring on solar power, doing solar powered shows in like the 90s or 80s or something like that. It's been possible for a while, but definitely new technology makes it way. Yes. Fortunately, I mean, like, niche, people like me can get excited about and push, this clean energy idea because of value and because of, protecting our environment. But when most people are going to do it is when it's going to be the cheaper thing. And that's just because most people are struggling, to make ends meet. It's, not easy financial times for people, and you just have to make it make sense. And that's what drives me a little nuts is like the subsidies that go to the fossil industry are just massive. And knowing what we know, it seems so obvious that any money like that should be going towards
Yeah, I believe it was right before the economic crash in 2008. ExxonMobil was the highest grossing company in the world before like Apple overtook it.
Yeah.
Not that Apple is good by any means, but
Oh,
you know.
it's not like
Not like
I'm a
they're
huge
perfect.
fan
I
of
know.
the
They're kind of
application. At least they're not like directly, obviously
yes.
letting future generations pick up the tab for, and actively deceiving people so that they can, sell their pollution. Like,
Yeah. So speaking of the oil industry, you spent some time at Standing Rock, and Trapdoor Social put out a song for that cause titled Never Stop Listening. So we're going to play that now, and we'll talk about your experience after the song.
Wake up call at 6 a.m. Just died in a dream at the wedding of an old friend. I had to fly on down on paper wings, but I couldn't pull out. And then I woke up singing a mournful hymn about a life so sweet that no one stopped living for just 1 second to think of what we'll leave behind for the children to sing. Try to anesthetize them, and they may never start listening to the world outside and all the change that it'll bring. So come on, hold on tight, love, that you may never stop listening, that you may never stop listening, that you may never stop listening, that
That was Never Stop Listening by Trapdoor Social. Yeah, I really like that song. It's really cool.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
I'm kind of, the mix, the mix with the music and then also the social, looks like exactly what we would hear on Punk Rock and Politics. So it's perfect here for the political mosh pit. So how did you hear about Standing Rock?
I mean, I've been pretty active personally in the environmental movement for the last few years. My friends at Food and Water Watch, for example, have been super active with the Aliso Canyon gas leak. People at Sierra Club have been working on getting LA off of coal power. Grid Alternatives has been hooking up low-income communities with solar power. And these have been some of my favorite partners in the events that we do and the fundraisers that we do. We work with these guys, and a lot of these people in that community are definitely aware of kind of the front lines wherever they are. So through social media and eventually through the news, I was starting to hear about it. Definitely through friends and come to me saying, dude, we should go. And I was feeling the same way. And when you get a hand of everything for 9 days and drive across the country to go basically camping in the most harsh weather that any of us had ever seen, it's serious. Like this intersection of taking care of our indigenous people and protecting our environment is just a no-brainer and something that we were all very happy to help get behind.
So it definitely feels like it's an intersection between two major movements, the indigenous peoples movement, giving back from centuries of neglect, and then the environmental movement coming in. So when you're up in Standing Rock, what did you see up there?
So we were there in the first week of December, and we were there basically at the biggest point of the camp. There was thousands of people staying while we were there, and I what did we saw? We met incredible people. We saw a warm welcome and a beautiful space. People came everywhere, all over the country, all over the world, dropped what they were doing to come support people, and just incredible people. You meet incredible warm energy, and good vibes, and just cool care and people helping each other out constantly, 24 hours, just working for each other to help out. It was really, really positive experience. Besides the weather, it was in the 20s and sunny and calm for the first few days, and we thought it cold. But then on December 5th, the day that the Army Corps of Engineers had to come clear out the camp, they didn't end up following through with that. But on that same day, the weather changed dramatically. It dropped 30 degrees into the negatives. It started snowing heavily, and wind gusts of up to 40 miles an hour actually destroyed our camp. Our tents couldn't withstand the wind. Wow. So we had to kind of dismantle the thing and seek refuge in a nearby camp, which we were welcome to, and it was just the closest to survival mode I feel like I've ever been in. But still just super positive, and everyone kept working. I was in construction most of the time I was there because there was just thousands of incoming veterans up at that time. And so we were building housing for them, slapping together 2x4, to basically build barracks for these veterans who were coming to the aid of the Sioux tribe and of these people. And one of the most incredible things happened there, which was the leadership of this coalition of U.S. military veterans did a formal presentation in front of the elders of these seven councils of tribes, where they came up to them in this whole public ceremony and said, "We apologize for the wrongs done to the native people of America by the US government through the use of the military. For all the wrongs that we've ever done you, we're sorry." And that was just extremely powerful. It was extremely powerful to be at the first, seven council gathering in 140 years. The Americans to gather together and to band around this issue. And I was there for on the 3rd, when the Army Corps of Engineers announced that it would not grant the easement for the company to continue construction. And, that was such a celebration. Like, people just were crying and hugging each other, and, for a moment at least felt like, that something had been achieved, or that it was a step in the right direction. And of course, a lot of us knew, what would happen in these situations is that the oil company will continue its work. It'll get fined for breaking the law, but its eventual profits from the oil will just dwarf the cost of those fines. It just becomes a line item on their, expense sheet.
They almost just account for
it's
that.
just part of the deal. And so, kind of, we knew that the fight wasn't over, but, we definitely enjoyed that celebration and that sense of hope.
Didn't Obama have a statement about how the drilling was going to stop?
I can't remember a specific statement from Obama.
Maybe it was just issued from the White House while Obama was in office. But what did that whole ruling do to the movement?
I mean, like I said, as much as that should have meant the Army Corps not granting the easement, like, that was, a statement from the government that, this work should not be done. And, but we knew that the oil company was able to break the law, and they wouldn't just let that much money sit on the table. Like, they're going to go for those profits. And we knew the fight over. And
yeah, but see, that's I think, like you and me and a lot of people there know that, but I think the average person sees that and hears that. They're like, oh, it's over. It's not going to be drilled on. And they kind of move on to the next topic. The average news consumer.
Oh, that absolutely happened. And it was really frustrating, actually, because, basically it had become a more hot issue in the papers and everything. Mm-hmm. And then everyone said, yay, we won. And then there was no more coverage for a while.
It's come back more recently into the news with those raids. But for a while, it died completely down. I mean, I've been here watching from afar from Southern California, doing what I can, raising awareness. But it felt after that win, the celebration, which was well-deserved, as you were saying, but it almost felt like a false sense of hope, or hurt the movement more than anything.
It was messed up because, like, the 3rd, they announced they wouldn't grant the easement. Everyone celebrated and posted about it, wrote about it, and and then the 4th, the oil company announced that it would continue drilling anyway. Yeah. That did not make the news.
Wow. I wonder if that has anything to do with every other commercial on CNN or MSNBC being for BP or ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mainstream media isn't going to touch this. That's why it's so important for bands like you guys to go out, raise awareness, bring attention to the issue, drive into camp with your solar power van. And how exactly did that go over there?
To power our camp, we invited, everyone we talked to come by and charge their phones, and we powered a kitchen adjacent. We ended up getting into some trouble with it because we ran a couple lines over to some nearby TVs, I think, without really conveying the sense of, like, the limits of our something, because the next morning our batteries were drained and the weather was getting so dark at this point and stormy at this point. We weren't recharging very well. Lead batteries, I think maybe batteries in general, don't well in extreme temperatures or cold weather rather. My iPhone's never been the same since, and our batteries on our trailer dropped a lot of their capacity, and we ended up having to pull the plug at least on power in the kitchen that was across, and really had to kind of back off on how much power we were laying out to the camps around us, just because basically crap the thing out like about how much current it draws, but limited depth in that inverter, and it can only do so much.
Yeah. So what do you think there's something that an individual could do in their own life or to their own home to be able to advance the solar powered lifestyle?
Not even everybody who has a home has a direct immediate financial interest. Like, I talked to my landlord about getting solar power, but we found out that we use so little energy that our return on investment wouldn't be that fast. If you buy solar, it'll pay off. You were paying a ton in energy bills, and so if you're not paying a ton of energy bills, it's just not that fast an ROI. And most importantly, most people just don't have their own house that they can put solar on. But there's lots of ways to support it. I mean, mostly it's government policy. Like, there just have better incentives for energy. We're still dumping billions into subsidies on fossil fuels, and that money needs to be going to sustainable solutions. We're still scrapping clean energy plans at every level of government. There needs to be incentives and promotion for clean energy policy. In 2012, the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal Camp was fighting to get LA, which was getting over 40% of its power from out-of-state coal power plants, to get the local government to promise to get off of it, and they did, which was very exciting. But that's got to happen everywhere, and we got to hold them accountable to stick to it. And even beyond, and so a lot of it is just policy and lobbying and communities that be demand and accountability for that stuff. And even beyond that, there's other ways to help out too. For example, Grid Alternatives is partners in a super cool nonprofit that has offices in LA and like a dozen other cities. And what they do is use basically the few, they take advantage of the few government programs that there are to gather the discounts and incentive programs for solar for low income communities, and put together a little bit of fundraised money and basically go install solar in poor neighborhoods where it's needed the most. And you can help out an organization like that. They take volunteers all the time. They can help fundraise with these people, and there's people out there on the front lines making solar power happen, and you can go put your hands on that for sure.
Oil companies, they have endless amounts of money to just dump on the politicians. So the only thing really we have at the end of the day is, the people, the, power of the people.
That's what we got to start with. That's for sure.
Because here in California, there's an incentive that was ending, or is either the state incentive or the federal incentive. And I got, like you were saying, I was like, thinking, why is that ending? Why would they should just have that run? It doesn't make sense.
Did we solve global warming? Is it is it over now?
Yeah, we're going to spend billions on our military, and then Trump and the Republicans want to spend billions on this stupid wall, but yet a few million for solar rebates is just out of the question.
This is one of those things where it's like an ounce of prevention is worth a kilogram of cleanup. We're gonna create some serious messes with climate change. Just extreme weather and storms that we know will be exacerbated by the destabilizing effect of climate change. Like there goes billions of dollars, right there. And every time that happens, and, taking refugees from that will be completely destabilized by climate change. We just got to think ahead a little better here, and, throw some money into just taking the edge off of this effects, reverse this process the best we can. Because that will be money very well spent.
There's already enough refugees all over the world from our war policies. We don't need more from global climate change. But I think what it really comes down to is almost the Western culture, Western civilization, our short-term ability. We look so short-term.
Yeah, absolutely. And great book on the subject called "Don't Even Think About It" by George Marshall, and he's a communication specialist. He talks about why we don't really talk about climate change, why we're not really that well suited to deal with it. And I mean, this is an extremely vast and complex problem. Not very tangible to the human eye, to the human experience, and everything in the hardwired circuits of our of our instincts and of our most powerful animal urges, are these short-term what you can deal with kind of problems, and it's just unfortunately a little bit outside of that programming to try to deal with a problem like this. And that's why it's so important to just trust the science, and just try also to find ways to communicate this in a way that people can connect with emotionally, because it's not naturally going to set you off to oh my God, the temperature is rising this degrees, and carbon in the atmosphere is over 400 parts per million. What does that even mean? I'm not going to have a fight or flight reaction to that information. That's not going to change my behavior. We really have to take this shit seriously, and it's not that easy to do because of human nature and how we evolved.
Yeah, right. But, that's kind of the mentality. And then also, I mean, I hear from some people, I mean, they're kind of being facetious, but I think they're really being honest. They're like, well, I'll be dead by the time any of that happens, so whatever, which is wow, that mentality really blows my mind. But a lot of people have that,
That is true. That could be true. It's just horribly selfish. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
And you got to think about at least think about your children, and you gotta know that there's going to be a time where we will be dealing with this in the reality future, and people are going to be, what the fuck were we thinking? Again, we're not to think that far ahead. That's not fed ourselves and bred and passed on our genes. It's just not wiring that we really got to fight our human nature to ignore that kind of problem, or to not be able to deal with that kind of problem. That's just the challenge at hand.
Definitely thinking long term is a challenge for humans. We are always in that short term thinking. So let's move back to your music before we head out here. We're gonna play a little song on our way out, and it was kind of inspired by a marching band out of Colorado. Am I right on that?
Close. It was written already, and we met these kids on tour in Colorado Springs. There was definitely a light bulb moment where we were like, oh man, we got to get these guys tracked on the album. I was a huge band geek back in school, and basically wanted to lay down that sound on the track and get the big brass and that drum line feel definitely brought that song to life.
Totally agree. Tell everyone what's the best way to find Trapdoor Social's music.
TrapdoorSocial.com. Look up our festival, sunstocksolarfestival.com, and let us know if you have a place that we could come put on a show outside without getting shut by the cops, because apparently that's the trickiest part to it. We're always looking for spots to do solar shows.
Yeah, let's do this. Sunstock. Let's make this into a national festival. Well, hey, thank you so much, Skylar, for coming on Punk Rock and Politics. It was awesome to hear you talk about solar power and your band, Trapdoor Social.
Well, thank you for having me, Michael.
All right, well, let's hear one more by Trapdoor Social before we head out. Here's Fine on My Own by Trapdoor Social, featuring the Pride of Mesa Ridge. Check this out.
Life is running on low, but I know that I can make it if I climb up out of this hole. 'Cause no one's gonna save me this time. No God to strengthen my hold. This is my way to find I am fine on my own. Me up on Sundays, I can't get enough, but I love all the structure and grooves we have worn. Honest, like in my cup, survival's my only love, and I won't have no world that could end when I'm gone. What keeps us out of sin when there's no fear of falling in? All these kids think they know how the earth came around. The lies I'd be confessing like a mine was but a blessing. Everything we believe to this point has been wrong. Life is running on low, but I know that I can make it if I climb up out of this hole. 'Cause no one's gonna save me this time. No God to strengthen my hold. This is my way to find I am fine on my own. Oh, now screw me, 'cause this party started. Goons keep on marching on, but I go where the wind blows and question no one. Who told you guys were watching truth over shocking talk? All alone on this road you've been walking along. When light licks through trees, you'll hear the wise whisper leaves tell you throw away what you own and forget what you know. But for the reflection, you'll be hard up for the lesson. We celebrate what we fear. There's been science enough, and I know where to find what could save me, but am I living? My vision goes hazy. Give it time, give me life. Is it worth trading? Is it my mission? All this and I'm fading away, fading away. And I know where to find what could save me, but am I living? My vision goes hazy. Give it time, give me life. Is it worth trading? Is it my mission? All this and I'm fading away, fading away. Life is running on low, but I know that I can make it if I climb up out of this hole. 'Cause no one's gonna save me this time. No God to strengthen my hold. This is my way to find I'm fine on my own.
Thanks for checking out Punk Rock and Politics. If you enjoyed the show and the information brought to you, please subscribe and share the podcast. It helps us here at Punk Rock and Politics, but more importantly, it helps the featured bands gain exposure. Also, if you know any bands or musicians who would like to join the political mosh pit and have their music featured on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, please email us at punkrockandpolitics@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And rock on, political junkies.
I think our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
It is beyond my comprehension how we can elect a president of the United States, somebody like Trump, who believes that climate change is a hoax, invented by the Chinese.